Hello everyone, this is Javier, the Tax Terminator, and I'm back in Bogota, Colombia, my favorite area, the T-zone of Bogota. And today I wanted to talk to you about what's going on in Europe. More Americans than ever want to move to Europe, and yet it's becoming tougher to get citizenship, it's becoming tougher to get residency. But today I'm gonna break it down to you. How can you move to Europe successfully as an American? Everything you need to know in this video. I came across a very interesting article and I wanted to share my thoughts with you guys about it. So this article from Bloomberg News essentially stated that a record number of Americans are looking to relocate to Europe through work visas, for example, getting positions as managers or employees in some top European companies. In other cases, they were also discussing the record number of Americans that are requesting citizenship by descent, whether it's in Italy or Ireland or in some cases Germany. But overall, the theme of the article is more Americans than ever want to relocate to Europe, or at least want the option to relocate to Europe. Doubtless, in some cases, it has been motivated by the Trump presidency. I do know that a lot of Democrats in the US feel maybe more at home, more comfortable with European social policy. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, the world is your oyster. The world is a menu that you can choose from, and that's what we're all about here at Nomad Capitalist. So, with Europe tightening its borders, right? You saw Italy make citizenship by descent harder. It used to be possible to go as far back as the late 1860s, if I recall correctly. Now you can only claim citizenship by descent if you have an Italian parent or grandparent. We've also seen the golden visa option in Spain disappear. We've also seen the golden visa in Portugal become more difficult, eliminating the real estate option. At the same time that we see more and more Americans wanting to relocate to Europe, we're also seeing a lot of European countries making it more difficult for Americans to actually relocate. So in this video, what I wanted to discuss and talk about was what are the best options still available for Americans, or really anyone in particular who is a non-EU citizen and who wishes to relocate to Europe or to have the option to move to Europe, and what potential tax benefits can be derived from it. So, number one, I want to start off with the country of Spain. In the case of Spain, you know, the golden visa went away. However, you still have some very attractive options in the form of visas that are linked to passive income, so people who are retired, who can live off their wealth. You also have a digital nomad visa that is quite interesting, and we have helped a lot of our clients get that. In the case of Portugal, as I said before, the golden visa eliminated the real estate option, unfortunately. However, it is still possible to get a Portuguese golden visa, which actually does have a path to citizenship, which is quite attractive. And you can refer to some of the videos from my immigration colleagues to know more about that. But yes, Portugal has an option. You invest in some funds and then you get the golden visa, and there's a path to citizenship there with some minimal physical presence. In addition to that, if you really are into real estate, then you still have some options in Greece, still have some options in Latvia, where essentially investing some money into real estate, depending on the area of the country you choose, potentially as low as 250,000 euros in the case of Greece, you can obtain a golden visa, which gives you Schengen area access. In the case of Latvia, the investment is around the same price tag, basically around 280,000 something euros, if I am not mistaken. In addition to that, you've heard me talk about the Channel Islands in Europe, for example. Excellent option. In the Channel Islands, you can go to a place like Jersey, for example. And in Jersey, they also have a great option where you can come in as a high-value migrant, you get your residence permit, and on top of that, you have great tax benefits. You're taxed at 20% on your first 1,250,000 British pounds, and then anything in excess of that, you're taxed at 1%. So that's, again, a great two-in-one solution that mixes immigration and tax residence, which I find really, really interesting. In addition to that, obviously, if I circle back a sec, you've got the lump sum tax in Greece, which can be very, very interesting. And you also have a new NHR system in Portugal if you want to go for that golden visa that I described earlier. However, the scope of that NHR is much less broad, much less encompassing than it used to be. So unless you're a really high value professional in an area where you can really exploit some kind of research-related, type of work activity or skill set, then the new NHR in Portugal might not be as interesting for you. In Spain, you've got the Beckham law. So if you choose to go for that digital nomad visa we talked about before, then you can potentially get the Beckham law. It turns Spain into a territorial tax system for about 6 years. None of your foreign source income is taxed, so that could be interesting. So as you can see, you've got very friendly options all around. In Italy, you also have some pretty interesting options. You can invest into Italian businesses, you can make some investment in Italy, and you can also obtain a residence permit there. That can be interesting, and it does come with the option to opt for the lump sum tax regime, which can also be very beneficial. In Italy's case, slightly more expensive than Greece. In Italy, you have a lump sum tax of 200,000 euros per year. In Greece, around 100,000. So overall, it depends on your investment profile, but as you can see, you have multiple options that are interesting. One that we haven't talked about as much, Monaco, also a bit old school, from back in the 1970s, but it could be pretty interesting. Some people do decide to relocate to Monaco. You put some money in the bank, potentially can get a residence permit there. And obviously Monaco on the personal side is zero tax, so why not? In addition to all of these great tax benefits, you also have great lifestyle benefits. In most cases, European countries will have a lower cost of living than the United States. The great advantage of having all these special tax regimes in Europe is that ultimately, in many cases, this can be very tax advantageous or tax neutral for Americans. So for Americans in particular, the challenge is citizenship-based taxation. Because there is citizenship-based taxation, Uncle Sam, the IRS, will go with you wherever you go. Now, obviously, there are ways to minimize it. There are ways to optimize it. You've got the foreign earned income exclusion. You've got the foreign housing deduction or exemption, depending on whether you're an employee or a self-employed person. You do have possibilities to leverage certain foreign entities and maybe carve out some tax benefits there. But overall, the US is always going to be there and is always going to be your silent partner in terms of the income you generate, even if you don't spend one single day in the US. So my take on this has always been, hey, you relocate to Europe or to a tax neutral place for you as an American. And ultimately, it's great because you only have to essentially worry about the United States. You don't have to worry about that other European country necessarily coming after you as aggressively. One last honorable mention that I didn't want to make because a lot of our clients love it is Malta. So Malta has been in the news recently, and I actually hosted a webinar for our clients because the famous Malta MEIN program went away. It was the program through which you essentially invested around $1 million, give or take, and you could have obtained citizenship, Maltese citizenship, in a matter of 18 months. That program is now gone. However, Malta does still have great options when it comes to getting tax residence. And so a lot of our clients don't realize that programs like the TRP and the GRP are still fully available in Malta. And these programs allow you to essentially keep the island as your place of tax residence. It is very tax advantageous. You pay 15,000 euros per year as a fixed annual fee. And then the rest of the time, you're basically taxed on remittance on anything you remit in excess of 100,000 euros, and then you get a great treatment for capital gains, etc. I've described this in some of my other videos, but ultimately it is also a great place for those who want more of a digital nomad-friendly European tax residence. So there you have it, folks. Those are the best options to relocate to Europe. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're an American considering moving to Europe, drop a comment down below, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and this was the Tax Terminator, signing off. I'll be back.
This is an 18th century palace in Lisbon, Portugal, and it's literally one of the most elegant fine dining restaurants anywhere in Europe. And I'm going to be showing you luxury living in Portugal here, and showing you penthouses and palaces for sale that you can live in with some of the best views of the city. And taking you to an exclusive members club that you can join, where old money and new money meet here in Lisbon. We're shopping for top brands along Lisbon's 5th Avenue, visiting a catamaran in Lisbon's harbor to show you how you can buy a boat here, and meeting Michelin star chefs and drinking amazing Portuguese wine to show you the good life in Lisbon. This is how to live like a king.